That was
Greetings and welcome to Mount Olympus. I am Hercules Invictus, and today on Living Mythology, I'm proud to bring you Brian's Drive-In Theater with the one and only Brian Walker. Greetings, Brian. How are you this wonderful evening?
I am suntanned and very well, Hercules. How are you?
That is incredibly awesome. Not quite suntanned. Still doing very well.
Well, my backstory this month is that this is the third week of our extended vacation. As you and several other people know, I do not tolerate heat very well. I don't want to be like you asshole deep in snow either, but I kind of like something moderate, something that has a fall and a winter, even though everybody hates winter. Um, I don't think it's such a bad thing, really. A little bit of snow's pretty at Christmas anyway.
Nor do I. I happen to like winter, many things about winter. I'm in the senior citizens category now, and I learned from years of working in emergency rooms not to challenge the snows, very quickly, because that's a very sure way of winding up in the emergency room.
Or
So,
dead. Yeah.
or dead. Yes.
Yeah. I had a dentist when I was a teenager who had taken a hot shower and went outside to shovel his driveway off and dropped dead. Had a heart
Yes.
attack. Mm.
You
I mean, that's
also
kind
learn
of that's an extreme example, though. That's
an
kind of
extreme
gruesome.
example, but it does happen in emergency
Oh
rooms
yeah.
every winter. And I learned too that when it rains, don't drive fast because there are incredible amount of car accidents because the oils come out of the roads first, so
They
everything's very
sure
slippery.
do. Asphalt. That's the big drawback to asphalt. It's cheap. Well, used to be cheap, and it's easy to lay down. It's much less complicated than concrete. The problem is that it's made out of oil, and when it gets wet, it's slick.
Yes.
And your tires too. A lot of people will run around on tires that haven't seen tread in years. That's really bad in the rain too. Um, so
Indeed.
that's my public service announcement for this month. Get new
Well,
tires.
thank you. You have a very exciting topic tonight, and your current adventures match the topic perfectly.
They sure do. This week, thanks to our friends Kelly and Martin, we are spending the week at Disney World. We are in one of the
Wow.
Disney resorts, the one that's the closest to the Magic Kingdom, which is the original park here in Florida. It opened in 1971. I can remember vaguely, when it opened because there was a lot of fanfare across the country,
Mhm.
all kinds of ads about Disneyland or Disney World, that is, during the kid shows in the early 70s. They really marketed heavily to children. Some of the other amusement parks did too. Paramount Parks marketed very heavily to kids in the 70s. One in particular, which was called Kings Island. It was in, what is in, well, no, I have to, well, no, it is in, it's still there. Excuse me. It's in Cincinnati, Ohio. Well, actually, it's just a little north of Cincinnati. And it was owned by Paramount, as in Paramount Studios. So Paramount had access to everything they had rights to. And they even used Kings Island, which I think went online in 1972. They even used, they would even insert in some of their storylines from their situation comedies and children's shows too. They would do like a couple of episodes at Kings Island to help promote it. The Brady Bunch, I think, did two episodes at Kings Island. And I was a big Banana Splits fan as a
I
kid.
remember that show.
They were at Kings Island too. And that's kind of that. I think, as a matter of fact, that's probably where I first saw it because I watched them every Saturday.
As an
And
aside, have you watched the new Banana Bunch horror movie that they made?
you know, I we did we tape that? No, we didn't even tape it. No, I have not seen it. But I kind of cherish some of my childhood memories. That's not to say that I'm not morbid enough to check it out at some point, but I have not watched it yet. I can't imagine Fleagle running around with a chainsaw. Yeah. But I don't know. It might have been fun. Who knows? I'm not against watching it. Let's put it that way. But a lot of amusement parks that were corporate owned and had some sort of tie to a film studio got involved in other areas of entertainment. And I think Walt Disney really led the way for this when Disneyland, the park in Anaheim, California, opened in 1955. He had access to all of his characters, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Minnie Mouse, Goofy, characters that were famous the world over. And amusement parks are really lucrative. The Universal is another studio that owns amusement parks, and Universal is, NBC. It's this huge conglomerate, and it depends on who you talk to. I think if you probably talked to a millennial or a Gen Z who was a big amusement park fan, and if you were talking to them about one of the corporate owned entities, they would probably pick Universal as their favorites. And I can see why. Universal's always tweaking the park. It's a beautiful park. Well, they're going to have three here in Florida starting next year. There are two right now. There's the main Universal Studios in Orlando, and then there's their second amusement park called Islands of Adventure, which does really cater to teens, young adults. It has thrill rides that Disney has some thrill rides, but Universal has more, and Universal has access to some great films, great characters in those films. NBC is part of Universal, so they have access to all that. Um, and with these theme parks, they're able to theme, let's say, an amusement park ride around a very popular movie, and that's great marketing for them. They have this this film that was a blockbuster, but now they can milk it even more by theming an amusement park ride and getting people who are all pumped up about that movie to come to your amusement park wherever it is in the country and ride the ride. And if you come to these theme parks, it's amazing uh, the sheer love that some of these people have for certain film franchises. For example, on Sunday, we went to Hollywood Studios. Now, that's here in Walt Disney World. Um, Obviously, Disney is a big conglomeration. They now have more access. They own ABC. They have their fingers in a lot of entertainment pies, so they have a lot of access to different kinds of characters. Some DC and Marvel, which we'll talk about here pretty soon. And then you love the superhero stuff, right?
Yes, I do. It's our modern mythology, very powerfully.
Some of the amusement parks have rides that really nail the essence and spirit of those films and offer you a really thrilling experience on top of that. On Sunday, like I said, we went to Hollywood Studios, and not too long ago, it's been in the recent past, Hollywood Studios was transformed, and they built this huge. And I'm not going to handle all the description of this very well because I don't know a whole lot about the franchise. But they got this huge now on one side of the park that's devoted to Star Wars, and the theming is eerie. It is so well done. It even has that odd sepia tone. I don't know if you know what I mean. In
Yes, I
some Okay, in some of the shots from some of the movies, it does have a well, it's kind of a sepia tone. It's sort of the way the desert looks, at certain parts of the day. Everything has a sort of a muted yellowish cast to it. Um, there are like enormous props. I mean, just shockingly large. Everything is sort of built in as well. If you want to go into the entrance for one of the uh, amusement park rides, and when we rode Galaxy's Edge and Rise of the Resistance, um, the theming is just mind blowing. Very well done, and the buy-in, especially like I said for the millennials and Gen Z. But I really shouldn't cut my generation or your generation out in that either. I saw plenty of older folks in there wearing just as much Star Wars crap you know, as anybody else. And they probably should because the original movie came out 47 years ago.
Wow. It
You know,
came out
and
during my high school graduation, I remember. In 1977, I graduated and it came
yeah,
out
I guess it
at
would
that
have,
time.
wouldn't
I saw it like 13, 14 times. Well, it was,
it? George Lucas loves people like you. But okay, you 13, 14 times, and there was a lot of buy-in for you, right? Love the characters, love the film, and I'm sure you followed it through the franchise, correct?
Yes, I stopped watching it recently.
Ah,
I haven't seen the Ahsoka series. I haven't seen the new Mandalorian series. I haven't seen. There was another series that I missed. I'll eventually catch up, but I'm in no hurry to immerse myself in the Star Wars universe.
but certainly you've seen the majority, of it.
Yes, I've seen all the films in the theater,
And
and
the stuff in the past is only the stuff that really matters.
a lot of people feel that
This
way.
new stuff, yeah. Anyway, the Star Wars, for even for somebody who's not a huge Star Wars fan like me, the theming of it is astounding. Everything, not only does everything have a certain look, they've also been able to replicate a lot of that feel. And they do it in subtle ways. I mean, some of it's just good theming and park employees who are frustrated actors, and who love this franchise as much as anybody standing in line for one of the rides. For some people working in Star Wars land, I don't know if that's the exact thing that it's called at the Hollywood studios, but working there's got to be some sort of wet dream for them.
A lot of people,
I
yes.
I could probably name five people who would just explode, if they got to do something, if they could manage doing something like that. And you got to admit that would be brilliant. And I got to tell you, like I said, not a big Star Wars fan. I don't hate it, but it's not mine. I like sci-fi too, so it's not that. I just never warmed up to it, like some people. But that's okay because even people like me can enjoy the experience. And the two rides that we rode were spectacular. Amusement park rides they're so much better than they were 50 years ago when we were
Yes.
kids. I mean, they're so far more advanced. They're on the cutting edge of technology. Several of the newer rides here at Disney World, it it would seem like they're on a track, but they're not. There's no track at all. Everything's controlled. It's all programmed, really, and everything works seamlessly. I'm probably going to jinx it, but we've been in two huge amusement parks in the last 4 days, and nothing has really broken down that I could think of. There was one thing, but I'm not really sure they had a breakdown. I just don't think the employees wanted more people to come through. I think they were taking a smoke break or something, and just closed the ride temporarily. But I mean, it's amazing that there's so many things going on, and then you're walking thousands of people by. I don't know how
Hmm.
I don't know how it's done. Now, I will say this, you pay a price for seeing things like that, but I think that it is a good value in a way because you're not going to see it anywhere else, and you're not going to be able to experience it, and it is just an incredible immersion. The Star Wars area is just fascinating to me, and how the detail. And you know what? The other amusement parks, the Universal parks, and um, the old Paramount parks to an extent, but not like it is now. Uh, theme theme things really well, and I think that's how you get people to come back too. You
Hmm.
can't just have an amusement park ride. I mean, it has to be something that somebody wants to get on more than once. And there are people who I don't know if you have ever heard of the American Coaster Enthusiasts group.
Oh,
They're at a lot of, well, obviously, I'm at a lot of amusement parks throughout the year. I don't know what that says about me. But ACE it was founded in Pittsburgh, and I think it's where it's still. Am I right about that? American Coaster Enthusiast. I'm pretty sure it's based in Pittsburgh. I could be wrong. They are at Kennywood all the time, and Kennywood is Pittsburgh's amusement park. But They have had some tangentially entertainment related rides in the past, but I think Kennywood's gone in a different direction now. But then we won't talk about Kennywood. We can, well, actually, we can talk about Kennywood because Kennywood, a couple of movies have been shot at Kennywood, fairly recent ones within the last 15 years or so. But I won't
Horror
go there.
movies or
No, one was called Adventureland,
okay.
and it's kind of a teen comedy. And Kennywood's a really picturesque park, and it doesn't look like any other amusement park in the world. It's built into the side of a mountain, and across the river, there's this giant steel mill. And they've done everything they can to disguise the fact that there's a steel mill right there, and they do a good job with it. There are a couple of rides where it's like, oh, the steel mill. But Kennywood's a great park, but I'm digressing here. What we really wanted to talk about were some of the rides based on movies, and like I said, the Star Wars franchise that really blew my mind. The attention to detail is just amazing. And like I said, it's an experience you just can't get anywhere else. I see why people keep coming back for more. Now, that also means that the entertainment corporation, in this case Disney, they have to keep one-upping themselves. They can't just keep trotting out the same old ride. After a while, and there are exceptions to that. There are some beloved rides that when they do start tinkering with them, there's all this internet outrage, and I've been one of those people. It depends on what the attraction is. Well, there's been several now that I can think of it. Hollywood Studios probably my favorite attraction there, and I think it was for a lot of other people, was called the Great Movie Ride. And it was a very long ride. And, if you were trying to get out of the heat, of the midday sun, you were in the air conditioning for about 20, 25 minutes. With the pre-show and everything, it probably took that long, and to get off the ride. And you got into this giant car that held, I don't know, probably 30, 40 people, maybe. They were pretty big. And you had a frustrated Disney actor up here at the front on mic, and she or he would kind of walk you through all the scenes that you were seeing. And they were from classic movies, Casablanca, Singing in the Rain, Alien, and it's that the Alien scene, even though it would now be like 35 years old, the actual ride,
Uh-huh.
really it looked fantastic. It looked fantastic in the 90s, and it did the last time I saw it just a few years ago. It was all done really well. There was some Busby Berkeley, kind of I don't know what you would call it, vignettes in it. It was just really well done. Wizard of Oz, Jimmy Cagney. I think it was what was that called? White Heat. Jimmy Cagney. Yes. There's a scene from that, and some of it's very interactive too. They will have live actors in some of the vignettes, and it's supposed to take you off guard, and it does keep the narrative, going. Did, I should say. Well, they wiped it out a few years ago, and they've now reformatted it. And I got to say, what they did was impressive. I mean, it looks beautiful. It's a Mickey and Minnie Mouse ride called Mickey and Minnie Mouse's Runaway Train. And it's very well done. The graphics are amazing. Even with these old eyes, I was just surprised how vivid and crisp these giant images were. As you're being pulled by on your car, and your car does certain things. It'll move and shift and things like that, and it really enhances the ride. Some of this is just these are technological marvels, as far as I'm concerned. Well, it should be for anybody. This stuff's state of the art in many cases, if it's not too old. State of the art, very cutting edge, just mind blowing. Very nice stuff. Now there are some older rides that are maybe a little more analog than some of the new stuff, but those can still be thrilling too. It really depends on the type of amusement park attraction you're looking at. The really big expensive ones at Disney and Universal are part simulator, part ride. Some of them are just absolutely thrilling. Did you ever see Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yes, I love that series. I've seen them all.
Well, at Epcot this year, there is, and it's new to me. I think it's been online for a while, but it's new to me, and it's called Guardians of the Galaxy. And it replaced a ride that I didn't mind seeing going, but I had really fond memories of. It was an Exxon. It was Exxon sponsored at the time. I don't know. I I don't at Epcot. Certain attractions used to be sponsored by big corporations, and I think a lot of that is not all of it's gone by the wayside, but a lot has. Anyway, it was replaced by this new attraction called Guardians of the Galaxy, and the facility itself is giant. You know, when you walk past it, I mean, it takes a good 10 minutes, and you're still looking at the side of this building. You know, as you're walking by, it's
Wow.
just huge. And when you get in there, you see why, because there is an awesome roller coaster in there, but you don't know it. You get you and I got to admit, I did not realize that that was a roller coaster. I guess I wasn't paying attention. I mean, the cars look pretty cool, but you know, a lot of the vehicles that you get into don't always let you know if you're strapped into something. You know, I should have used my head because we were strapped in. We had a bar, so I probably should have figured it was going to be a little more thrill ride than what it was. It was awesome. Blew my mind, made my whole day. Yeah, if you like if you like roller coasters, amusement park rides, it was just so spectacularly done. The as you're on this roller coaster that's kind of careening out of control, and your car can spin in different directions too. You're not necessarily you're not like an old style amusement park roller coaster where you're just going in one direction, you know, up and down essentially. These go everywhere, and it's not the track so much; it's the car. You know, the car's
Hmm.
being jostled around. It adds to the thrill of the ride. And just to if you're an amusement park enthusiast and you haven't ridden Guardians of the Galaxy yet, go to Epcot. It's worth the cost of admission. It blew me away. And my full confession is this: I have not seen Guardians of the Galaxy, but
Oh, okay.
it didn't matter because I mean, there's a pre-show and Glenn Close is on these giant screens, I mean, huge screens, and I can't remember the other actor's name. But they kind of pull you into the narrative, especially if you've seen it before. But even if you haven't, you can pick up, what's going on. Um, and after a while, you're on this great roller coaster and you don't really care. So but I really enjoyed it. I was just kind of blown away. At Epcot, there are a couple of other. We were at Epcot yesterday, and there are several other, well, a few other movie themed rides. One is called Ratatouille. I don't know if you ever saw that.
My son watched it years ago, and I caught glimpses of it. I didn't see the whole movie though.
Um, we actually have a copy of it, but and we've always meant to watch it. We just never have. But I got it from riding. I've been on the ride twice, once last year, once this year. It's adorable. It's so cute, and it actually is. It's not only is it fun, it's funny and it's fun to ride. It doesn't. It's one of the ones that doesn't have a track either. Your car just goes wherever it's being told to go, and the resolution on graphics. I mean, it just looks like you're in a cartoon. Um, a very well drawn cartoon, by the way. The mice, or are they rats? Rat. Sorry, it's Ratatouille, not Mouse
Mouse.
Too. They look kind of like mice, though. They look more like mice than they do rats.
Well, they do in nature too. Very crude.
Okay, I'm being read. Anyway, Ratatouille, yes, about rats, but they look more like mice to me. I mean, mice are cuter. Rats are kind of, you they're not as cute. At least, well, in my opinion. Anyway, the ride itself is just adorable. It's kind of thrilling too. The way the one rat grabs, I don't know, the piece of food and starts running through the restaurant. And everybody's trying to get him. Really cute, fun ride. And there again, if you come to Epcot for Guardians of the Galaxy, you might as well go over and ride Ratatouille as well. There's a third ride here, which we haven't been on yet, but we're going to try to do on Friday, called Frozen, and it's another one I haven't seen.
I've seen
But
that one with my wife.
You
My
did
wife
see it?
Celtic, her background. So
Oh,
that
okay.
Frozen and Brave fall into the Celtic mythology category.
Well, also at Epcot, there is a Frozen ride. And all through the park, you can see Disney, theme park employees, and some of them are legitimately be referred to as actors because they do have cards, and they are acting. Um, but you can see people going through the park, trying to interact with the paying customers, the guests who are there. And there's so many kids today identify with certain characters in Disney. It might be some of the Disney princesses like Elsa from Frozen, and that ride, it's not a very long ride, and it's actually just a reimagined version of an old ride that was here originally at Epcot back in the early 80s in Norway. They just repurposed, well, about three-quarters of it now that I think about it. They did a really good job with it, though. You'd never really know that it had been something else, once upon a time. And we haven't, like I said, we haven't been on it yet this year. But last year when we rode it, I was just really amazed how many people, and not there weren't just small kids in there, although it's kind of aimed at kids. How many full-blown adults, full-grown adults, that is, were into it as well. A lot of people, I think some people think that theme parks are really meant for teenagers, kids, and ages. I'd say it's a pretty good cross section of America. People from lots of people from different countries as well. You do hear a lot of clearly German tourists. There used to be a lot of British tourists here, but I haven't really heard any of the Brits. Brazilians used to come here a lot too. I think it really depends on whichever country is having its financial heyday. Because it's all this subversive entertainment. It's very expensive, but it's also very well done. Even down to, let's say, dining. You can have some amazing dining experiences there again that you couldn't have anywhere else with that are beautifully themed, wonderfully decorated with whatever the theme is. There's several that I could think of. Um, in one a restaurant I really like at Epcot, for example, is in there's another Finding Nemo. I don't know if you ever saw that. There's a ride at another ride at Epcot, which we did ride yesterday, which is Finding it's lower, it's not low tech, but it's lower tech than some of this other stuff, but still really appealing. Kids seem to like it. You see a lot of adults, getting on it too, and it gets you out of the air, it gets you out of the heat for a while. Once the ride is done, it empties you into what's essentially a giant aquarium, and there's a lot of educational, information. And I'm usually impressed and happy to see how many people with families stay in the aquarium area, and you're able to look at the sharks and the rays and manatees. Well, on the other side of the aquarium is a restaurant called the Coral Reef. And, yeah, you can get seafood there too. And when you walk in, this one huge wall of it is all aquarium. It's just beautiful. We've only been there once, um, but it's so well done, and the food was delicious. By the way, this was probably a year or two ago that we went, but the food was delicious when we went, and just a really pleasant experience. The Disney really seems to understand customer service, and all of their employees are usually, some of them even seem overly friendly, but they're you get a lot of big personalities, who work here. But very friendly, very courteous, seemingly willing to step in if somebody has a problem, or
Understand.
yeah, they do. They're very earnest, and you see people exploding here all the time, unfortunately, because it's hot. I get irritable when it's hot, and
Hmm.
there are families down here, and not all of us I mean, some of us have good families, some of us don't. And it's hot, and the kids are tired, or the kids are running amok, or the kids are buying more souvenirs or whatever, and you just see like these families melt down. Usually you don't see like family against family. Usually it's the family themselves who just kind of melt down for a good 15 minutes or so. I hate to see that because, it's supposed to be fun here. It's, maybe they should hand out Valium
The
or
entertainment.
well, but here's my armchair theory about some of it too. Since this is a place where it's fun to be, um, all different, whatever interest you have in a particular kind of entertainment or a particular thrill ride, you're going to be able to find it at one of the amusement parks. So it kind of makes everybody in the family happy. I mean, even old, Greg and I are older people, and even we ride some of the thrill rides still. So it's not just kids riding. I see older people on them too, older than I am anyway. Even Greg.
Thank you, son.
I'm younger than springtime. Anyway, but being in these places, being in these amusement parks really does keep you young, and you do see a nice cross section of people of different age groups and such. I don't want to be, locked away with everybody who's like 70 years old. It's nice to know young people and to know old people, and you can come together, in an entertainment venue, and you can all experience the same thing and all enjoy it. And clearly, going back to the Star Wars example, the love of Star Wars seems to go from boomers on down.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Everybody was children at a different time, and Star Wars was initially aimed towards children. He used mythic themes. He was a student of mythology, and he tried to create a modern mythology, but it was very much kid focused. All those
Well,
trilogies, which people didn't really understand.
well, and a lot, and this was my experience. A lot of people back in the 70s who were big sci-fi fans, like my father, he's the one who took me to see Star Wars. He wanted to see it, you know. I think I was okay with it because it was this big blockbuster, and the graphics look great. Things, especially for then, things that you just
Then,
didn't,
yeah,
so it was very, very pretty. And that's part of the entertainment, your entertainment value too. I mean, I always talk about B movies, and some of them have horrible cardboard sets, like some of the Ed Wood films. Although I find that kind of endearing,
and
but I don't
shower
think
curtains, too.
nobody wants to go to a park and see like plywood cut out, whatever. you want more immersion. You want to be able to interact with the characters and the movies that you love, and these parks enable that. And like I said, it's just so well done. They keep they never rest either. They keep topping themselves all the time. They keep taking older things offline that maybe aren't as popular anymore, and then bringing something newer in to appeal to younger people. You've got to pull new people in. It's like the same way with drive-ins. If you just go with the same clientele, all the drive-ins are going to be gone. You got to pull younger people in, and keep it going, and keep it alive. And that's what these theme parks are the best at. They are great at marketing. Not every business is, but these people are really savvy. It's great to see it in action too. It's very smooth. Now, not all amusement parks are like that. Oh my God, though. I mean, the one that Greg and I go to, we have season passes to Kennywood. Kennywood is just sort of a do-it-yourself amusement park. Um, you walk in and they kind of expect you to know where you're going. You don't see a lot of park maps or anything like that. You just gotta have to feel your way around if you don't know it. And the way the park is laid out, you could probably pretty easily get lost. It's not that difficult, I guess, but it is built into kind of a hillside, and there's a river way down below, so it is kind of hard to orient yourself at Kennywood. Um, but Kennywood is there. It's not really a theme park. It's actually just an old school amusement park that was family owned for about 100 years. It's not anymore. Um, it as such is not themed, but the employees are just sort of, yeah, welcome to the Jackrabbit. Please hang on. And I'm serious. If you get that much reaction out of it, you're lucky. And still, we all four, love the park because it's local. And we we are local. We do know our way around. We know what the safety rules are. We don't need these kids to tell us. So there is that appeal to Kennywood as well. Our local park, Kennywood, has some of the only existing rides of their kind. One of them is Greg's favorite, the Turtle. It's about 100 years old, and it's on a track. It's not really a children's ride. I mean, it's an adult ride, but the cars themselves look like these giant steel turtles, very brightly painted. And you sit in it, and this entire thing is steel. Everything is the wheel thing that you hold on to is steel. The seating is steel, and the turtle is steel. And there's no covering or anything. It's just out in the sun right beside the Thunderbolt. And you sit in the seat in that thing when the sun's down. It's like, but it's a really fun ride. And like I said, it's the only one of its kind in existence anymore. Noah's Ark is the same. A lot of amusement parks used to have the big Noah's Ark ride, and the whole building, rocks back and forth. Kennywood, I think, has the only one left. So
Wow.
it's a really historic. It's almost like a museum, in some respects. And the corporation that owns it now seems to be, trying to build upon that. And overall, I think they run a pretty tight ship. I think they've done a good job at updating the park, trying to make it appeal, there again, to younger people. They have some great roller coasters too, even ones that we like the older, wooden style roller coasters. But they have some of the steel ones that are pretty genuinely thrilling. So thrilling that I'm not going to ride it. Most of the movie themed rides, the ones that I can think of, there are a few thrill rides, but most of them, are designed to appeal to people of all ages. So, and sometimes us older people, I've been dizzy all day, for example, and we get dizzy, we get achy, our feet hurt. you know we don't want to be we don't want to be
Oh,
thrown.
well.
um I've talked about Disney a whole lot, but obviously it's because we're here. But not to slight Universal also does a really good job. um this is going to be an oddity for me, but one of the attractions at Universal Florida, Orlando, I should say, is an ET ride. Steven Spielberg's film ET, the Extraterrestrial, came out in 1982. I'm a well-known ET hater. I was in high school, and my mother made me go see it with her. And I'm well, it was the big summer movie, so fine, I'll go see it. Sounds good. And I'm sitting there, and all these product placements are just dropping out of the ceiling. I mean, the Reese's Pieces and the Speak and Say Farmer Says thing. I'm like, oh my God, this is just a big commercial. And it kept going and going and going. And then they marketed that hideous little thing with the finger. I just sorry to be so bitter. But anyway, though, there is a ride based on that. And if you look at my overall opinion of ET and how it is just schmaltz and in a commercial, just doubly disgusting. I love the ride. It is so cute. In the movie, you remember that E.T. and Elliot get on a bicycle and they start
Yes.
floating
Go
up into
for
space.
the moon. Yes.
Well, you do that in the amusement park. Now, it's
Oh,
kind of,
wow.
well, this is an old amusement park ride.
Oh,
It's cool. It's well done, but it's way more analog than the newer stuff. There's a pole coming out of a track. You can see it, but you're on a bicycle, and you've got, I think the very front of the bicycle has a basket for ET. in it, and it does. You come by different scenes. I mean, it's well done, and I'm surprised they still have the attraction because it is getting up there in age. I don't know if ET has come back around or not recently.
I don't
I
know.
I am not a fan of it. I know that there are people who love it. I know people who do. I'm just not. But even though I hate the movie, I love the ride. The ride is so cool and really cute and heartwarming, except for that ugly thing with the figure. Universal has obviously, since it's a major movie company, they have other themed amusement park rides at their Hollywood and Orlando locations. Now, I haven't been to Universal Orlando for a long time. I'm sorry. Well, I haven't been to Universal Hollywood for a long time either. I shouldn't eliminate just the one. But there are plenty of reasons to go, and I hope to hear you pretty soon. But are you a Harry Potter fan by any chance?
No, not really.
Okay.
I've seen the first few movies, but I'm not a Harry
Yeah.
Potter.
Okay.
I
Okay.
read the
Great.
first book and I read half the second book and I gave up on it.
Well, you are way ahead of me. So it's I thought that there was all this love for Harry Potter, and everybody I've talked to today was just like, eh, how did it get to be so big? I've never seen so many people say, they don't even hate it. They're just kind of so what? Anyway, there is a whole. It's called the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, and that is at Universal, Florida, and Orlando, and it's really well done. And I'm not a fan. I've never seen the movies. They started work at Universal at their Islands of Adventure Park. Started working on their Wizarding World of Harry Potter since it was such a big franchise back in 2007, and got it open in 2010. And that sounds like a long time. It's about 3 years or so. The first time I saw it, it blew my mind. I not being a fan of it, not really knowing a whole lot about it other than some clips that I had seen or maybe some commercials on TV. The theming of the place is just astounding. Everything looks just like in the movie. It's and the rides in there are just amazing. The one ride that I think is probably the most mind blowing is the Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey. Um, you're put into these cars, but they're not traditional amusement park cars. They can spin you around back and forth, up, down, side to side, however they want to show you what's going on in Harry Potter's Forbidden Journey. Extremely well done. And the last time I rode it, I retched the whole time because Greg and I had gone to the Improv in Orlando the night before, and I was stupid enough to eat the tartar sauce with my fish and was violently ill the next day. But we had tickets, we were already committed to going, and I couldn't say, you know, I just vomited my guts out. I, I don't want to go. So I tried to make it look like that I could do this, I could do this. And that's the first ride he went straight for. And I was like, oh God, am I going to be able to do this? Long story short, I'd already vomited so much that I didn't have anything in my stomach. So I just retched the whole time, which was preferable because I had an elderly couple beside me, and I kept thinking, I'm going to barf on these people, and I'm not going to be able to stop it. I got off of it though, and eventually, a little later on that morning, Greg bought me a Sprite, got my stomach settled. He got some lunch into my stomach a little later, and I felt better, by the end of the day. But oh boy, that morning was rough. And that's another thing about these parks. If you have any physical limitations, if you are throwing up, you probably don't want to get on an amusement park ride. That was stupid of me. If you do have physical limitations, you have to pay attention to those. And you can always ask, one of the theme park attendants. They'll tell you. They'll tell you whether or not that if you have back problems or if you do get dizzy easily, they can tell you, well, maybe you should sit this one out. You know, and it's a good thing. You know, you want everybody to be healthy. You don't want them to get on a ride and then barf on an old couple. So anyway, though, I shouldn't probably should have told that story about Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey, but that was my most recent memory of it. I haven't been on it since, not because of that. We just haven't been there for a while. But that whole Harry Potter thing, it's really taken over a big part of Universal. Very popular. It also spans the two parks that they have currently, Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure, and they have I guess it's the Hogwarts train. Is that what it's called? Hogwarts Express that travels between the two lands, Islands of Adventure and the main studios part. And interestingly, if you want to ride Hogwarts Express, if let's say you're a teenager who's really into Harry Potter, you're going to have to buy a really expensive park hopper pass that allows you to go into both parks on one day, because otherwise you can't ride the ride. I think it's kind of, you know, not sure how I feel about that. I mean, well, it doesn't matter to me because I'd probably pony up the extra money to do it. That seems. I want to say that it's bad marketing, but they're getting away with it. So actually, I guess that means it's good marketing.
Marketing, yeah.
Yeah, they're making money off of it. So who am I to say that? I personally don't care for the policy, but I see why they do it.
And I'm
But the Harry
surprised
Potter.
that's still around, that the ET ride is still around. That's very surprising to me. I thought that those would have been long gone.
Well, I mean, we were just talking about it a day or two ago, and we were all kind of expressing surprise that it was still open, especially since I think it was a first day ride. Okay, Kelly says yeah, it was a first day ride at Universal when it opened in I think '89. I think it's when it opened. So that's a 35-year-old ride that really hasn't been updated. As far as if it has, it's been very minimal things, probably some computerization and stuff like that. Some software has been upgraded, but the ride itself is just old school, track and chain and the things that actually do work in amusement park rides. Some of the amusement parks have had trouble technologically with some of their rides. One that Greg and I have loved, both at Universal Hollywood and Universal Orlando, is the Revenge of the Mummy ride. I don't. Did you ever see the Brendan Fraser version of the Mummy
Yes.
franchise? Okay, I liked it. I thought he was really good. I think he's actually a good actor. I don't think he always gets maybe some of the respect that he deserves, but he was good in those movies, and his movies were fun. And the attraction itself is really well done. It's sort of like half theater, half roller coaster. It's a little different than most other roller coasters. Very, very fun, but still thrilling, but not too thrilling that it's going to hurt your back or freak you out or anything like that. But just very well done. And I was a
And
big fan of this movie.
they made video games of them as well. So those were very highly interactive on a variety of levels. We have 5 more minutes left to our conversation. So I think
Okay.
this is a two-parter because it seems like you have many more stories to share.
Yeah, because I never got around to talking about the movies that are based on theme park rides. So I guess we can talk about that maybe next month.
Now, you're an awesome individual. I've been a big fan of the
Thank you.
Drive-In Theater since its inception, and I'm still a very big fan of it and of you and your work. How can people discover more about you, discover more about Brian's Drive-In Theater, and participate or get involved in some way?
Well, you please just stop by and visit the drive-in. It's briansdriveintheater.com. You can find me through any major search engine. If you want to interact with me on social media, and I do post every day, both on the website and on social media, you'll have to do it through Facebook because that's the only thing I'm using right now. That could change in the near future, however, if I ever learn Instagram. So, well, with Instagram, you can post for your posts from Facebook and go to Instagram and vice versa. So it's kind of a natural, and I just haven't exploited that yet, but I plan to in the very near future. So look forward to that, folks. Meanwhile, there's a new movie of the day every day. Today, I reached back into the vaults and went with a favorite peplum with a lot of people, which is Steve Reeves, The Avenger. I only run public domain films on my website. There's a lot of free entertainment out there. There really is. You don't always find public domain films on places like YouTube because, in some cases people will post something illegally, then it gets taken down. With the content that I find on archive.org, and so you have to pick and choose through some of that too, quite honestly. I try to pick things that I know are in the public domain and put those on my site. But fortunately, there's some great entertainment in the public domain, like a bunch of Steve Reeves movies, as a matter of fact. Hercules Unchained, The Avenger, and you can watch it all at Brian's Drive-In Theater.
Yes, you can, and I appreciate your placing links in Sword and Sandal Cinema. They're great advertisements for Brian's Drive-In Theater, for the movies involved, and awesomely done. So thank you for that as well. Do you have any last thoughts to leave with our audience as they wend their way through amusement parks, real or
Yeah,
imagined?
if there's a movie franchise that you're a big fan of, whether it's let's say The Incredible Hulk or Harry Potter, there's a lot of Harry Potter fans. Star Trek, not Star Trek. Oh my God, Star Wars. I don't think there's a Star Trek land. That somebody should come up
In
with that.
California, they had a lot of Star Trek type of things,
Mm.
amusement type of things.
There's so many film franchises that millions of people are interested in and follow very closely. Whenever a theme park can latch on to something like that, you have to get the rights to it, obviously. Whenever they can, we'll exploit that. You can make even more fans. Going back to the case with Star Wars, it's a 47-year-old movie that essentially has new fans. That's amazing. That's really rare, too.
It is. Thank you
How many
so
other 1977 movies can you say that about?
not very many. And thank you, live audience, who's gathered to hear Brian speak. It's been an honor to have you all aboard, and hopefully we'll be able to do another Sword and Sandal Cinema, Brian's Drive-In Theater, where Brian is the star, and you can participate in that as well.
Sounds great, Hercules.
Okay, good night, everybody. Joyous journeys and amazing adventures.
Good night.
All right.